So I'm going to start with a presentation. First of all, thank you so much. My name is Mujan Asghari. I'm the co-founder of Women in AI, and I'm going to be your host today for the launch of the Women in AI Awards 2020. So today we have opened the applications, and this is the event that we want to first welcome you and be able to answer any questions that you might have regarding the applications of this year. Okay, so if everybody sees my presentation, I'm going to go slowly. So, Women in AI Award, who we are. Women in AI is the first community for women in the field of artificial intelligence. We are basically a community all around the world. Today we have actually more than 115 countries, and we are almost reaching to 4,000 members across the globe. Our main goal is to empower women in the field of artificial intelligence and helping them to learn and be more participant in this field by many activities that we do, including education, including the acceleration programs for entrepreneurs, including many activities that we have to promote women, and many events also that we organize across the globe. So about the Women in AI Awards, we basically started this award last year, joining forces with our dear partner Capgemini to honor the success of the female entrepreneurs in the field of AI. So the purpose of this award is really to promote women who are leaders and who are running companies that are successful, who are role models also, and try to help them and support them as much as we can in order to succeed in their adventure, which is a really hard adventure. All the entrepreneurs can admit and share that. So just to tell you about the awards of this year. So we will have, as last year, 3 winners, and the amount of the prize is 15,000 euros in total cash for the top 3 winners. And in order, basically, the first winner will get 8,000, second winner 5,000, and third winner 2,000. This is basically the prize next to the access to the acceleration program of Capgemini and the support that they offer and provide for the winners. So good news that today we have opened the applications, and it's going to be open for 2 months until August 17th. The applications are done via F6S. Some of you might know this platform. It's one of the biggest startup application platforms in the world. And this is the link that you see. Basically, you go to f6s.com/WaiAWARDS2020/apply. If you want to also have access, like easier access, you just go on Women in AI website, and then on the Women in AI Awards page, and you have a button called Apply, and you can apply directly. The thing that you should know about that is everybody who wants to apply, they need to create an account on F6S and then follow their application. So this is an easy process, but please be aware to fill up all your information correctly so we can actually have a better understanding of what you do and be able to evaluate your applications. The eligibility criteria that we have for the applicants is as follows. Basically, we're looking for early stage startups. And when we say early stage, it means that, for example, they shouldn't have more than 3 years of existence, and they shouldn't have raised more than 3 million of funds. Then they should be also registered in Europe. So it doesn't mean that yourself being European, but your company needs to be registered in Europe. You should be a co-founder or a founder as a woman to be eligible for this award. And we would love to support men, but this is an award for women. So that is the criteria. The fourth criteria is that your company's activity and core value proposition should be based on any AI technology, but that should be really the core of the value. And it can be on any AI technologies that, that it exists. So the other criteria that we have is that your company should at least have an MVP or industrialized product, if it's further, or at least one client. That means that you have reached to a level that we can help you and you can be eligible for this award. And the last criteria, which is a bonus, is if your company has an AI for good relevance. So the award ceremony will happen in November this year, on the 18th. And the place will be basically at Station F, which is a startup campus in Paris, during a conference called France's AI, which is one of the biggest AI conferences that we have in France. In order to let you know that if you're accepted or not, we will announce the nominees on September 16th. So you will be able to plan your trip to come to Paris and be able to participate at the award ceremony. So today I'm very excited to introduce you to the dear panelists that we have. And I would like to start by telling a little bit of the story of each of them and basically starting the panel together. So the first person that I want to introduce you is Camille Morvan, who is actually the winner of the first place of Women in AI Award last year. And she is also the CEO and co-founder of Goshaba. Then we have Francesca Fedeli, who is the CEO and co-founder of a company called Fight the Stroke. And we have with us Isabelle Budor, the VP of Capgemini Invent and VP of Data Privacy and Ethics. And last but not least, that Helen Chinal, who's going to join us very briefly, that we will have a fire chat with her. She is the COO of Capgemini France. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now to be able to have the panel. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start the conversation with each of you, Camille, Francesca, Isabel. Maybe you could, a little bit introduce yourself, what you do. And I would like to start this with Camille telling us that how did you create your company Goshaba? Because you have a background in neuroscience and you have done a PhD in neuroscience. So tell us, how did you create Goshaba, which is an AI company? Camille, do you hear us? Okay, I think Camille has an internet problem. So I will pass to, okay, Camille, you're back, I think.
Sorry, I had a connection problem, sorry. I'm back.
No worries at all.
Should
okay,
I?
Camille, tell us.
Yeah, okay. So hi, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Mujan, for organizing this. It's really, the Women in AI is really a great, really great program. So I'm glad to be here today. I wanted to explain, if that's okay, Mujan, explain how I created my company with the, okay, so I'll tell a little bit about my background, how I created the company. So I have a background in neuroscience. I'm a researcher in neuroscience and cognitive science. I was working at Harvard as a professor for the end of my career in academia. In my work as a researcher, I was measuring how people think using cognitive tests that I developed in the lab. I was creating very scientific and precise tests to measure how people think, and my expertise is cognitive biases and decision making. So what I've discovered in my research and what I explored was the fact that people are irrational. At some point, the technologies I was using as a researcher became available on laptops and cell phones. So I took that opportunity to take what I was doing in the lab and put it and commercialize it. So this is the story of how I created Goshaba. We at Goshaba, what we do is we use this scientific test and evaluation to reveal the potential of candidates and employees. the problem in recruiting today is that when you apply as a candidate, you're going to be evaluated based on your resume and your pedigree, but not on your potential. And this is how we have recruiting that always favors the same types of profiles. Goshaba works for more diversity because we reveal your true potential independently of the school you went to, your social origin, your gender, etc. And we do that with the cognitive science turned into video games. So candidates will play the video games, and their potential will be revealed that way. Our clients are large corporations such as Capgemini, McDonald's, L'Oreal, these type of companies. And yeah, the reason I created Goshaba is because I wanted to have a positive impact on the world, and I felt like I was having more impact creating a company than being a researcher. And I'm very happy today to help companies have a more diversified workforce.
Thank you so much, Camille. So, Francesca, let's start now with you. Your company, Fight the Stroke, and you have also a project called Mirrorable, has a very unique story, personal story. Could you share that story with us, and how did you, create your company, and what's that story behind? For the audience, would be interesting.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Mujan, and hello, everyone. Ciao from Italy. Yes, I'm the co-founder of Fight the Stroke, who actually is an enterprise, but also is a foundation, and we started this adventure in 2014, but actually, as you were saying, the mission was coming even behind in time, because in 2011, when Mario, our son, was born, we discovered that he suffered a perinatal stroke. So at that time, we were looking for information, we were looking for data for therapies, but no one could really provide us with the good fit of data and set of data and information that we needed. So we decided to start up Fight the Stroke Foundation based on three main pillars that are science, design, because everything is designed around the little patients or the caregivers, and technology. So for us, technology is a kind of a commodity, because we use it just for the need to satisfy the needs of our patients. And Mirrorable is exactly a precise example of this. So we wanted to develop a telerehabilitation platform for our children that could have been useful during this time, especially. And on the other hand, we wanted to take advantage of the data in order to let the science advance. But in all the other projects that we developed even further after Mirrorable, like Mirror HR, an epilepsy research kit for the kids with epilepsy, we keep on using artificial intelligence, and especially in this last project, we are using machine learning and federated learning. So this is something that it's a part of our DNA, because it's really it's enabling our mission.
Thank you so much, Francesca. It's fascinating what you do. And also, I forgot to say that you were also the winner of last year's awards. So to you, Isabel, your profile is quite interesting. You actually come from a marketing and HR background and consulting. And now today at Capgemini, you are the VP of ethics and data privacy, and you're working a lot, with data, big data. You told me once that when you were younger, the last job that you were thinking of doing was IT. You were not even thinking about it. So what did change for you in your mind? What happened that you are now doing what you're doing? Please tell us a bit more actually what you're doing, so we understand better.
And so in fact, I started at business school because I wanted to do some marketing, which I first studied initially. And then quite quickly, I eventually chose to do consulting because it has this conductor role that I enjoyed in marketing. And there, because in marketing, what I liked was the human part. And of course, very quickly in consulting, I did some HR and change management stuff. which is of course also related to human. And then I was put on a mission on data privacy. And at that period of time, it wasn't so much well known as today. And the reason I was put there was because one of the key areas where data privacy was important was the HR domain, of course, and because even though the regulation exists for quite a while, more than 40 years in France, in fact, it's not well widespread in companies. So the idea was to use my change competencies to do that. And at that period of time, I was thinking, okay, it's IT, it's legal, it will not be fun. But in fact, I really discovered the topic and really, well, fell in love with it, I would almost say. And from that on, what was very interesting was to use this topic in all the different companies, and understanding that it had also a meaning for people in the companies, and of course afterwards for our own clients and for you who are assisting, because in the end, this is you that we are protecting. And from that, then I think it was two or 3 years ago, I was passing my CIPP certification, and the period of time I said, okay, but now what's the next topic? And I was thinking of data ethics. And this is how we had the idea with my team to build another author around what we call sustainable and trust in AI, which aims, of course, at ensuring that AI is done, I would say, properly. And in fact, it was very, very good, because when we started initiating this offer, it was also the moment when the European Commission gave its guidelines for the trustworthy AI. So both things went quite all right. And of course, now I think that this job is great. So just kind of evolution.
I see. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Camille, tell us a little bit more about your experience from last year's awards at Women AI Awards last year in Paris. How did this award help you, maybe personally or professionally? Can you share that with the audience, please?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for the question. So I think for me, this award was very important because I guess it gave me two main things. One is visibility, because the award was quite shared, and having this community that supports us and shares the information, it gave me visibility and made me credible in the world of AI, not necessarily technically, but in the field of business. So that was important for me, particularly because since I'm coming from academia, any outlet that shows me as the CEO that leads an AI company and not just as a researcher is very important. And the second point that's actually related is credibility. Credibility in the sense of, being backed by Women in AI and Capgemini, since our clients are large companies, because we do B2B SaaS, so large companies buy a license to us. The more backing we have from large companies, the more credible we are in the field. So I would say for me, these two things were the most practical benefits of the award.
Thank you so much. How about you, Francesca? What was the outcome for you? What did you like?
Well, thinking, and those days, nowadays seems so strange. So I was able to go to Paris from Milan in just one day, so back and forward. So something that now seems impossible. But I completely agree with Camille, because again, visibility and credibility in this field, it's not given for granted, especially again if you are a woman, an entrepreneur. So the fact that a community like this can also give you a networking opportunity, it's an added value for me. So especially in a vertical in which it's still hard to find the right competencies, the right skills. So I think that this is something that I took back home from last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally understand. Thank you. Isabel, I know that, Capgemini does a lot of support for startups. I know you guys have basically innovation business units that are working in collaboration with startups to solving some problems, answering to clients. Could you more specify what kind of support you have for startups, and how do you at Capgemini work with startups?
In fact, we have different kinds of, let's say, programs or actions that we do. Let me focus maybe on one, two. One is that we have what we call a Scalable Program. It's for startups that we detected that passed the first steps. And now with this program, the idea is to help them reach the next step and grow a little bit more. So to enter this program, then you have, of course, to be qualified. There are some criteria, and then we help you. We have, well, the startups increase their visibility and help them also accessing maybe a wider market. The other things that we have is that especially in some parts of the company, especially the ones that are very close to data, it's kind of almost very logic that we work quite closely with startups, and we regularly do some kinds of benchmarks on startups. And for example, as far as I'm concerned, I'm working with about 5 of them quite, say, regularly. And the idea is first to get in contact with them, and then if we think that working with them is interesting, when we go into missions, then we bring together the startup with us and deliver the mission according to the startups with the help of the startups.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Actually, it's interesting when you're talking about challenges of startups. I would like to ask Camille and Francesca, maybe starting with you, Camille. What was the biggest challenge that you have encountered over, the past few years or even maybe months? Because now we're all in challenging times of, pandemic. But what have been the challenges for you in your entrepreneurial journey until now?
Challenges, it's gonna take a while.
Fancy question.
Challenges. So I think one important thing I'd like to share, because it may resonate with some of the people who are listening today. One main challenge has been for me to feel legitimate and competent in my role as a CEO. I think like we all suffer from, at different degrees, we all suffer from the imposter syndrome. Men and women, white and non-whites, everybody suffers from the imposter syndrome. So for me, what's been the biggest challenge has been to feel legitimate in my role as a CEO, accept that what I'm doing is okay, and sometimes it's even great. It's not always, I've always thought that I would like beat myself up for all of the mistakes I was making, and now I tend to focus more on the successes as well. What has helped me for this is the community, is being surrounded by very diverse people, men, women, French, non-French, whites, non-whites, etc. And being able to listen, and that's something I encourage everybody who's on this call to do, is listen when people tell you that what you do is great. Don't dismiss it. Don't think that you can do better. No, what you're doing is really good. And then if you want to do better, that's fine. But understand that you're starting from a point where you're already pretty successful, and whatever you do better is bonus. So surround yourself with people who help you understand that, and and get to work with that positive mindset. Because frankly, I've gone through incredible times where I thought the company was going to close, etc. And what made me succeed in these periods of difficulty is not the stress, it's not the hard work, it's the hope. So I recommend to have more hope.
Thank you. By the way, for everyone who doesn't know, Camille's company has actually raised 2 million euros, right? Am I correct? Last year. And this is actually the largest amount of startups raising funds in seed in France. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was the largest French seed round. And I must say that my investors have been very helpful to help me feel competent in my role. So they are behind me and they're telling me, okay, you're a great CEO, you are the CEO of Goshaba, you have to push on. So when I say surround yourself with good people, I also include investors.
Thank you so much. Francesca, do you want to tell us what was your biggest challenge so far?
So again, very in agreement with Camille. I think that it's more in my case, it's more the stereotype of a woman, especially in this case of a mom. So when I speak to doctors, I'm not supposed to know details about some issues or some therapies, or when I speak to venture capitalists, I'm not supposed to be doctor something, but I need to stay in my role as a mom. So I think that this level of stereotype has come before me, and so before experiencing the concrete results that Fight the Stroke has done through the years. So I think that this is something that we are still struggling with, so not being considered just a tear-jerking story, but also a startup with the right skills and competences.
Perfect. I would like to actually ask a question from you, Isabel. You were telling me actually about the collaboration that you have at your company with different, with regards of different activities that you have. What are the biggest challenges that you're facing, let's say in your teams or at Capgemini, with implementing or using the AI technologies with regards to your, for example, clients or within your companies? What are the biggest challenges that you're facing at the moment?
I would say, and please, Helen, do not hesitate to comment on that as well. To me, we currently have two main challenges. The first one is around adoption, and the second one is around scaling up. And the two of them are quite linked. The first one is around adoption, because AI is still sometimes seen as a geek or a very technological item, and indeed it is. Understanding the algorithm, you need to have a very good mathematical background in it. And sometimes when you are just a normal person with no of those mathematical background, it could be quite hard to understand it. And at the same time, we see that at the moment, the AI is coming from this very techno area to a more wider one, and which is a good thing because it's also very much linked to this widespreading AI into companies and into the society. But with that, you have some people into the companies that will be the one using AI, and you have also the people outside the companies, the clients, that will be the ones on which AI will be used. And those two kinds of people, if they do not trust AI, they will not use it. So one of the most important things at the moment is try to explain those hot topics, to make them very clear, to try to delete this veil of being very very dark, very what's behind that, and also show them that AI is done for a good purpose, not a bad one, and that it's fully protecting the people. The AI is protected and it protects people. And the second thing is, we've seen in the past lots of MVPs around AI, and some of them were quite interesting, but quite some of them failed. And one of the reasons they fail is that, of course, when you are trying to do an MVP, and especially when you do it in the agile mode, of course, you get rid of all the constraints. But then at the period of time when you do your business case, then the question is, what's the value of it? And if you have put out too much constraint, then when you want to put it to at scale, then you have some issues, because maybe in this case your business case just fails. So we've designed with our teams what we call data factories, which is in fact a kind of foundries where you put some use cases really at scale.
Thank you so much. I would like to tell the audience, if you have any questions at any time, you can type it in the Q&A section. Just write down there, or you can raise your hands after the end of the panel so we can actually answer your question. Okay, thank you so much, Isabel. Camille, what would be your advice for applicants of this year's of the Women AI Award in filling up a good, successful application? Because you were the first place winner. Do you have any advice?
Yes. So I would say there is kind of a theme about what I'm talking about today, but I would say don't limit yourself when you're applying. When I applied, I wasn't sure my project was technical enough in terms of how we use AI in the company, because we use machine learning, but we're not doing research on AI per se. So I wasn't sure my project was technical enough, but then I don't remember who, but somebody really insisted that I apply. And even after I got the prize, I talked to Mujan, to Hélène, to different people to say, how did I win? I don't understand. Why did I win? And I understood that it's important that, you know, coming from research, I'm obsessed with the technical aspects of things. And what you guys told me was, well, it's not only about how technical the AI is or how good the AI is in the product. It's also about how you're bringing AI to the world, why you're doing this, what's the impact, and the fact that we have a positive impact because we create more diversity, I think may have played a role. So my advice would be for you out there is don't limit yourself. You know, worst case you apply and it's not great and you won't be selected, but you know, maybe you will understand something about yourself. Push for the things that you believe in your application. And I think it's going to go well that way. And ask Mujan if you have any questions.
Of course, I'll be happy to help. Francesca, how about you? What would be your advice? You were also the winner, the third place.
Yes, I would advise to be, well, be courageous, be audacious. The fact that you can explain in the application which are your achievements, but also your failures. This, I think that could be, this type of frankness could be really appreciated, because our story is made by a continuous process of trying, failing, and repeating again. So don't be afraid to also show your human side, because I think it is part of the role.
Thank you so much, Francesca. So I would like to ask the last question before welcoming Hélène. And by the way, thank you so much, Hélène, for joining us. We saw you here. Thanks for being there. I would like to ask a question from Francesca, Camille, and Isabel. One single, like, you know, maybe thing that you think how we could close the gender gap as of now in the tech, and especially in AI. What would be that thing that you think if we could do, we would achieve to eventually close this gender gap? Camille, maybe you start.
All right, I was going to say, Isabel, you should start, but I think there's different levels. So there's a governmental level where obviously all governments should have rules like the ones, we had this campaign in France where the government shamed companies that had obvious and clear discrimination in their hiring process. So that's one way to do it. I think imposing quotas poses certain problems, but it also fixes certain problems. So it's one option. Companies should have clear policies. I'm thinking particularly the companies that I know well. So our clients are the startup. In the startup world in France, and I suppose in other countries as well, it's very very white and very male. The first step of finding a solution is that at least these people realize that there's a problem. Then I think the fight that we're fighting at Goshaba is that we think diversity is not charity. I really hate when people talk about diversity in a way that it's like, oh, let's be nice to these poor women who don't know how to sell themselves. No, that's not what diversity is. Diversity is raising the barriers that have been built so that women and non-whites, etc., don't reach certain jobs. It's not, diversity is the natural state of being. Non-diverse companies is the non-natural state. So I think diversity is not charity, and I think if we start evaluating people on their real potential, which is something we do, but other companies do that, we're going to have more diversity. I also think that I think Francesca mentioned that try and fall and pick yourself up. So if you're from a community, from a group that is discriminated against, it will hurt sometimes. I don't think women are the most endangered group. I think there are other groups that are facing more difficulties than us. But I think, you know, it will hurt. And the point is, you know, pick yourself up and go again. Don't take it personally. It's a systemic problem. So it's not a problem that somebody has with you. It's just a systemic problem. So you have to go back and help your friends do that too. So when you see your friends who are from a group that is discriminated against, and you see them losing hope or being tired or being hurt, or I think it's important to understand and verbalize to them, help them feel legitimate. And by the way, it's going to help you too feel legitimate.
Thank you so much, Camille. How about you, Francesca? What would be your advice?
Yes, I think that if we want to aim for a real systemic change, so not just a maquillage, we should restart from the design of the process. So when we are applying inclusive design, when we are doing project starting from design for all principles, by definition, we put ourselves in someone else's shoes. And so this makes the team more diverse, and this makes an end result like having a more equal society. So I think that restarting from the beginning on how we do design product and services, this could help on succeed on diversity too.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Actually, somebody has, Jan, he has mentioned in the comments that the quotas had a great positive impact on gender diversity boards in France, 40-60, and mandatory index of l'égalité is helping lazy patriarchal issues to open up. Thank you so much, Jan, for the comment. Isabel, do you have your last word advice very shortly? From the corporate perspective? We don't hear you, wait.
Yeah, can you?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. Yes, I think we could do it in 3 areas. First one is, in fact, we need to have diversity in the data scientist people that are building the algorithm, meaning that we need you, the startups, to keep going and keep fighting and keep doing AI, because it's only, you know, it's like for the cars were built by men. And the result of it is that now when there's an accident, the women have much more problems than men, because cars have been built from people who are 1 meter 80 centimeter high with 80 kilograms, which is not the usual size of women. So we need women to do the same for AI, to participate into it and to build the algorithm and the data sets and the reason, also the purpose of it, the way they want. Second area is that in the ethical AI guidelines that are given by the European Commission, there are 2 important principles, which are fairness and explainability. And for example, at Capgemini, we've developed an algorithm that can check whether either your data set or your algorithm are all right, are fair or not. And it enables you also to correct them. And then the question is, of course, until where do you want to correct it? Do you want to come back to the normal unfairness, or do you want to correct a little bit more? And then it relates also to the quota question. And the last area in which we could use AI to close the gender gap is really to use it to make some either studies or whatsoever. I mean, using AI really to close this gender gap identify whatever projects, and maybe it will give you some ideas for new startups.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all of you for your great advice. I would like to now start our conversation with dear Helen. I'm going to see if your mic is working, Helen. Let me know if it's working. Perfect. So hi, thanks a lot, Helen, for joining us regardless of your very busy agenda. It's very much an honor to have you here today with us. Before we move to the discussion that we have, I would like to present you briefly to the audience because your career and background is very inspiring. So Helen, you started your career in 1981 at Capgemini. You have evolved in various functions within the group, from division director to board committee member to CEO of several entities of Capgemini. You were also appointed as executive director and the head of operations of France business units. And one of the amazing things that I'm a big fan of it is that you initiated the program Women at Capgemini. So I would like to know what is your view of the current stakes of AI market and the diversity?
So today the use of artificial intelligence technologies has extended across all industries in our daily life. So the growth of total AI market has been estimated to more than 40% in 2019, which is great. And during the crisis we all have been going through, we saw that the use of AI and data could be critical to help in fighting the development of such diseases and to help people to live during the lockdown. So very important stakes in AI market, and not only on business, but also in our everyday life. So very important. So this could not be without a proper regulation and a particular attention of a responsible and ethical AI use. So taking into account our best strengths, our diversity, and it is our topic today. So in a recent study of our Capgemini Research Institute, 41% of senior executives report that they have abandoned an AI system altogether when ethics concerns were raised. Also, the publication of the ethics guideline for trustworthy AI by the European Commission last year, and the recent launch of the worldwide partnership this Tuesday involving 15 countries are a strong signal about this necessity.
Thank you so much. So coming back to your position, could you share with the audience what is the ambition and conviction of Capgemini about AI technologies?
Our value proposal around AI lies on 4 pillars. They are very important for us to succeed. First, compliance. Second, ethics and trust. Third, sustainability. And at the end, of course, security and quality, which is very important. And we don't begin a project without raising awareness around these 4 pillars, because we see that they are more and more connected. For example, with our AI French Center of Excellence in ethics and sustainability, our approach is proven by example, by test example, meaning that we first test at internal level with our data scientists working on the algorithms. So they work on bias avoidance with mixed team and on the development of low carbon algorithm applying the test and learn motto. This is important to validate the approach before proposing it to our clients.
Thank you so much. I was really honored that we started the Women AI Awards together last year, and I'm really curious also to ask you this question again, and I'm sure the audience is also. Why did you co-create the awards with Women AI, and why did you sponsor the awards?
It's very simple. Capgemini is very active on ethics and digital inclusion through external initiatives such as Impact AI in partnership with Microsoft, but also Cap sur le Code, which is a French initiative. Personally, I believe that pushing messages and activating initiatives around diversity and inclusion is very important to keep people aware on the topic and make the change happen together. AI, like other technology fields, still suffers from a low representation of women. This lack of gender diversity can be reduced if diversity among entrepreneurs is promoted. For example, in France, we estimate that there is only 12% at women in AI sector. We launched this award last year with Women in AI to have a positive influence on that, on the future of current and upcoming professionals by encouraging profile equity and to inspire women and young female talents to take part in AI-related career paths. And we renew our support because for us, it's not a one-shot, but a long way run, as we can observe through the results in our Women at Capgemini Global Program launched in 2012. So many years ago, which set the overarching guidelines around gender balance across the group. And it's our determination.
Thank you so much, very inspiring. Do you have any examples of actions at Capgemini to foster diversity? Could you share them with us?
Yes, we have a lot of initiatives, but I will share with you some of these initiatives. We work on all aspects of diversity and not only on gender equity, but also digital inclusion, training, and education. And at the group level, we launched last year an internal platform to raise awareness of sexism and stereotypes, La Perle, with podcast Ma Juste Valeur, focusing on wage disparities. It's some example, and it's a way to involve everybody in the company. We encourage training and retraining of people far from employment in the digital in partnerships with Simplon and Open Classrooms. We had more than 70 learners last year. And we continue, of course, this year. For that, the context is quite an opportunity. Example, also, we act to improve digital literacy through partnerships with associations like Innovavenir or Cap sur le Code, mentioned earlier. In France, in 2019, 2,000 students were welcomed on Mountain by our collaborators. To give two other fresh examples, we organized 2 weeks ago, as part of Explore AI online event, 2 workshops. One on the presentation of the AI training mapping, the other to explain the basics of AI to college and high school students. There were more than 120 students, so it shows a clear interest, and our role is to help young people and students from different backgrounds and origins to understand and engage in these technologies.
Thank you so much. I think we're getting closer to the end of our conversations. Do you have any last words to conclude for us?
Yes, with this award, we are very proud to highlight talents and female role models. And we have 2, 3, 4 to share that. We have launched startups in AI and support women and essential stakeholders in the development of these technologies. From data scientists to business leaders. We had some great winners last year, and so I encourage everybody of you to apply, and let's meet at the France is AI conference, the 18th of November in Paris for the award ceremony. So please apply.
Thank you so much. Thanks for all these encouraging words. I'm sure that all the startups who have listened to this, they're going to be definitely interested in knowing more. We're now going to open the questions. So if the audience has any questions, please write it in the Q&A, or you can write it in the conversation. So there is a question from Bibi Schmidt, and she, or I might make a mistake, or he is asking, what is the name of the Capgemini initiative? Maybe Helen, could you tell us again what was the name of the initiative that you were talking about? I'm gonna just write it for the audience. Or maybe Bibi is talking about women at Capgemini. I'm not sure.
Yes, I'm not sure too.
Yeah. I will
Yes.
let maybe Bibi to speak if she wants. Okay. Yeah, please go on, Helen. Yeah, please, Bibi, what is exactly your question about the Capgemini initiative?
Yes, the lady from Capgemini was speaking about many initiatives that they have in their company.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't hear the name of the first initiative. I was just wondering, I wanted to look it up.
La Perle, I suppose. I'm not sure at which moment you...
Probably the first...
Yes, it's a platform where people can share with all the employees some anecdotes that they live in the company about stereotype comportment and good behavior and also less good behavior. And so, of course, it is moderated, but it's a way to share and to take into account some bias in the company. And it's a way also to leave people to share their experience, their good and their bad experience, and also to show role models and even men role models in the way they manage women.
Great, it sounds like a great initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have another question that Jan is asking, could we share the URL of La Perle here? So maybe...
No, not really if you're not a Capgemini employee. It is an internal platform.
All right, it's an internal platform only for
Yes.
Capgemini employees. All right. Okay. Okay, Jan is saying, I can't be employed, I'm an entrepreneur. So maybe the question would be, what could the entrepreneurs do, or what could they have as access or like collaboration platforms with Capgemini? What are the access or the things they could do or apply to, apart from WaiAWARDS, of course?
Mm-hmm. Perhaps Isabel can help me on this question. You are on mute.
Yeah, okay, it should work now.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah. Yes, maybe I talked to you about this Scalable Program. So of course it's interesting, I would say, only once you've done your first step, but I guess that the Women in AI Awards will help you doing this first steps. And then, of course, you could enter this scaling up programs. And otherwise, I think we have some a website or an email address, and of course we can share if needed, because according to the business you're working in, if it's something that can be used as I was explaining at the beginning, then of course we could try and see if it would be worth doing it together at some clients.
Yes, and perhaps also because we have an accelerated innovation exchange within Capgemini, it's a way for you to join and to share your value proposal.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Francesca, I received your message. Thanks a lot. It's okay if you need to leave. We have 5 more minutes left, so let's see what are the other questions that we have. Please don't hesitate if you have any questions down there. I can give you a bit more information of how the applications would work if you're interested in applying. Basically, as I mentioned, the URL, I will share it also again here for your information. You can basically go online on F6S and apply to the awards, and or on our website. So let me just post the URL for you here.
There was a few questions, Mujan, there was a few questions I answered when we were talking from Jan. There's maybe 2 I'll share here in the waiting for other questions to come up. So Jan was saying like whether we knew of an AI tool that's helping organizations measure their diversity index. so a tool that's affordable. I suppose that Jan may want to look for that tool for himself. And he gave the example of the AIT. It's a test that allows people to measure implicit biases. So if you guys are interested, it's in the resolved Q&A. Jan listed the link. I just wanted to respond about that. There's some companies are using tests to measure biases in the companies and then retrain managers and employees so that these biases would be reduced. From my experience, it's definitely not enough. So I would agree with what Francesca said earlier, and I think Isabel as well, about the fact that we need systemic change. You know, just like measuring biases in one person is not enough. But these things do exist. So if you're interested, you can look at the implicit project. It's harvard.edu, implicit harvard.edu. Just wanted to mention that because it's in the question.
Okay, do you have the link also, Camille, to put it for the audience here?
Yeah, so it's here. Let me see if I can copy. Jan, if you're still listening, can you put it in the chat?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's the one who put it. Because I can't put it here, but it's implicit.harvard.edu. It's a test. It's a cognitive test that measures your biases. So you can actually test yourself and see if you have biases against specific group of people.
I'm writing. It's implicit.ai. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
Jan just put it in the chat. Yeah, that's interesting. It's a fun little game that we also use sometimes in companies to measure biases.
Okay. Also put the link for the website and Women AI Awards section. So we don't have much time left. We have only 2 minutes left. Does anybody have last questions? Otherwise, maybe you all could say the last word. Helen, do you want to say anything for the last words?
Really pleased to participate to all that and to this award, and I really encourage every of you to apply, and it will be a great moment to share that with you in November. So don't hesitate, and I encourage you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Helen. Isabel, if you have any last words to share?
I think I already said it a little bit, but we need you to close this gender gap. So please keep going on doing what you're doing, expand it. And I'm pretty sure that in some years, instead of Facebook or Amazon or all those kinds of big digital companies run by men, we'll have also some companies run by women.
Thanks a lot. And to you, Camille?
Yeah, I just have a quick word. I wanted to say that I apply to a lot of different competitions, and I win a lot of these competitions. I must say that the Women in AI one is really, I think, the most caring and I don't know how to say in English, bienveillant, like positive organization and community that I've come across. So yeah, when Hélène and Isabelle are telling you to apply, it's true. Just go for it. It's a very caring community, and I'm available if you want to find me on LinkedIn. If you have any question that you want to ask me rather than Mujan or Women in AI, don't hesitate.
Thanks a lot, Camille. That's actually a good question. If anybody wants to reach all of you out, could they reach you out on LinkedIn? Where is the best way to do it? Isabel?
Yeah, for me, you can go on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
That's LinkedIn too.
Well, thanks a lot. Thanks. Yeah, please go on, Helen. Sorry.
Yes, I would just say we can share on LinkedIn.
Okay, wonderful. So LinkedIn is the best. Thank you so much again for attending this session. Thanks a lot for supporting us. We're so excited to launch this second edition. We really deeply, truly, genuinely want to help all the entrepreneurs there who are working so hard in this, unfortunately male-dominated industry, and we really want to support you. So don't hesitate to apply. If you have any question, anything that it might come your mind, just please contact me or any of us here. and we will be here to help you. So thanks a lot again. I'll actually write down my email if you need anything in the chat, and you can write me back. Thank you so much. So we're going to conclude this session and see you soon in November 18th. Apply by August 17th. Thank you so much.
You. Bye, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone, and see you.